The Galactic Council Hall was the biggest structure on Zarenthia. It floated above a silver sea and shone like a diamond in the sky. Inside, leaders from hundreds of planets had come together. Some were tall and thin, some had wings, and others looked like floating clouds. Among them stood a young human diplomat named Ethan. Ethan was not tall or strong-looking. He had short brown hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple dark suit and stood quietly, while other leaders spoke loudly. He was Earth's only representative at the summit. Earth had recently joined the Galactic Council as a minor observer, and many still saw humans as weak and unimportant. High Envoy Kalira of the Thalax Dominion stood on the central platform. She was tall and graceful, with skin like pale gold and bright blue eyes that glowed. Her voice echoed through the chamber as she looked at Ethan. "So this is the human," Kalira said. Her tone was sharp and proud. "I expected more. Is this what Earth sends as a diplomat? A quiet boy with no presence?" The chamber went silent for a moment, then laughter followed. Other council members joined in. Some chuckled, others laughed loudly. Ethan remained still. His face did not change. He did not look angry or upset. He simply looked at Kalira for a moment, nodded once, and turned around. Then he walked out of the hall. The laughter died slowly as people realized he was not coming back. Kalira stood frozen. She expected him to argue, defend himself, or shout. Instead, he had left without a word. It felt strange. She tried to laugh again, but her voice felt hollow. Outside, Ethan returned to his ship. It was small compared to the massive flagships of other races. He entered quietly, nodded to his pilot, and sat down in his room. He pulled out a tablet and began typing notes. He was not angry. He had seen many like Kalira before. She was powerful, respected, and feared. But she had made a mistake. She thought silence meant weakness. She had no idea what humans had become. Back on Earth, things had changed in the last 10 years. Humans had grown fast. They built ships that could fold space. They trained AI systems to solve problems in seconds. They learned quietly while others watched them from afar. Earth had no empire, no colonies, but it had knowledge, and it had willpower. Kalira returned to her private chambers that night. She looked at a screen showing Earth's profile. It showed basic data: population, tech level, council status. She frowned and opened deeper files. She wanted to know more about this quiet planet, which she found surprised her. Earth had built over 20 hidden research stations in deep space. Their scientists had made breakthroughs in quantum energy. Their ships could cloak without leaving a trace. Their weapons were not large, but they were fast and smart. Everything about Earth was small, but sharp. She stared at the screen and felt a strange feeling. Was she wrong about humans? She remembered Ethan's face. It was calm, not afraid. Maybe he did not speak because he did not need to. The next morning, the summit continued. Ethan did not return. Instead, a message came to the council from Earth. It was simple. It said, "We thank the council for its time. Earth will observe quietly." Many laughed again, saying humans had left in shame. But Kalira was not laughing now. She looked at the message and felt something she had not felt in years. Doubt. She closed her eyes and sat back in her seat. Something about Ethan's silence stayed with her. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of someone who knew more than he was saying. And that silence would echo for a long time in the halls of the Galactic Council. The news of Ethan walking out spread fast. Many council members joked about it. They said humans were too soft for real diplomacy. Some even said Earth should not be part of the council. But a few leaders stayed quiet. They had seen something in Ethan that others missed. Kalira sat in her private study. Her mind was not at ease. She watched the recording of the summit again. She paused the moment Ethan turned to leave. She looked at his face. It showed no fear, no shame, and no anger. It showed calm. She did not understand it.
God, most beings would defend their pride. They would shout or argue.
Ethan did none of that. He simply left. Kalira felt confused. She was not used to being ignored. She was one of the strongest voices in the council. Late that night, Kalira opened more files about Earth. She used her highest access level. She read reports from scouts, spies, and science stations. What she saw made her sit still for a long time. Earth had no empire, but it had alliances. It had no large armies, but it had strong defense networks. Their scientists had developed smart weapons that could choose their targets. Their ships were small but fast. Their AI systems could run whole operations without human help. She saw a video clip. It showed a human ship avoiding a meteor field without losing speed. Another clip showed an Earth team solving a planetary crisis in less than a day. Kalira's eyes narrowed. Humans were not weak. They were quiet, and that made them dangerous in a new way. The next morning, Ethan's ship stayed on the edge of the Council space zone. He did not return to the meetings. Instead, he sent a small message to Earth's command center. The message was short. It said, "We wait, we watch." On Earth, scientists and leaders received his message. They understood. Ethan had seen enough. Now it was time to prepare. Back at the Council, Kalira called a private meeting with her advisors. She asked them what they knew about human weapons. They answered with half-truths and guesses. None of them had full knowledge. Kalira felt something strange, a mix of fear and respect. She had insulted Ethan in front of all. Now she wanted to know what else he had kept hidden. She began to wonder if silence was the human strength. Meanwhile, Ethan stayed busy. He worked with his team in silence. They were decoding signals from nearby systems, running scans, and watching Council activity. They were not afraid. They were focused. His second in command, a woman named Laura, asked him why he had not responded to Kalira at the summit. Ethan looked at her and said, "Words change nothing. Actions will speak." Laura nodded. She had served with Ethan before, knew he believed in quiet strength. Days passed. A new issue rose in the Council. A peacekeeping mission was needed in Sector 9. Many races refused to help. The area was known for danger and chaos, but Earth offered help. The Council expected Earth to send a few officers. Instead, a small Earth fleet arrived. The ships were sleek and dark, and they moved like shadows across space. In less than one day, the human fleet ended the conflict. They stopped the fighting, repaired local systems, and left no trace of harm. The report shocked everyone. Kalira read the report 3 times. She watched the video feeds. Human drones moved fast and smart. Their soldiers used non-lethal tools to stop fights. Their engineers fixed broken tech within hours. Kalira sat back in her chair. She thought of Ethan again. He had not argued, not complained. He had simply acted. The other council members now spoke of Earth in new tones. Some praised them, some feared them, but none ignored them now. Kalira looked out her window at the stars. She whispered to herself, "What else have I missed?" In his ship, Ethan watched the council reports. He did not smile. He only said, "Let them keep watching. We are not done yet." And so the silence of one man began to change the voice of a galaxy. The council hall was quiet. Last peacekeeping report had changed many minds. Some members started to look at humans with respect. Others stayed silent, unsure of what would come next. But all of them now knew one thing. Earth was not weak. Kalira watched recordings of the mission again. Her hands were still. She had never seen a mission done with such speed and care. No one died. No cities were damaged. The humans had fixed what others had broken, and they had done it without asking for reward. She called her science officer. Nira. She asked for more reports about Earth. Nira brought a list of recent Earth inventions, smart cloaking systems, nanobot repair fields, portable energy shields. None of these had been shared with the council. Kalira frowned. "They hide their best tools," she said. "Or they wait until the right time," Nira replied. On Ethan's ship, the team worked in silence. Laura brought him a message. The council had another request. A dangerous research base had gone silent in deep space. They needed help. Ethan read the details. The base had lost power. No one knew why. Nearby ships had not returned. The place was dark and silent. Ethan gave a short reply. "We accept." Laura nodded and passed orders to the crew. Within hours, 3 human ships left the orbit of Zarenthia. They moved fast, leaving no trail. The council sent observers to watch the mission. One of them was Kalira. Kalira entered the human ship with caution. The inside was simple. No gold walls or bright lights. Just smooth panels, quiet halls, and focused crew. She saw no fear in their eyes, just calm. Ethan greeted her with a nod. "Welcome." She nodded back. "I came to observe." "Then observe well," Ethan said. He turned and led her to the command deck. The ship reached the dead base in less than 2 hours. Base floated in silence. Its lights were off. No signals came out. Ethan gave clear orders. Drones moved out. They scanned the area and sent back data. Laura read the scans. No life signs. "Systems offline," she said. Ethan sent a message to the other ships. "Prepare to board." Kellera watched closely. Humans moved like water. Their suits were light but strong. They floated to the base, entered through a broken airlock, and spread out in teams. Inside, they found the base cold and empty. Something had drained its power. The walls showed signs of strange energy. Ethan entered the control room and touched a panel. His suit connected with the base systems. In seconds, lights flickered on. Kelia watched from the ship. Her screen showed everything. She saw how Ethan's team rebooted the system, found the problem, and stopped it from spreading. It was a new kind of virus, one that attacked machines using quantum pulses. It could have reached other council systems. But humans stopped it first. Ethan returned to the ship and stood next to Kellera. Base secured. Virus destroyed. Report sent. She looked at him. "Why did you help?" "Because danger does not care who you are," Ethan said.
Us.
She paused. "You could have let it spread, made others suffer, then Earth would rise faster. That is not our way," he said. She looked into his eyes. There was no pride, no ego, just purpose. Later that day, the council met again. The observers gave their report. They said the mission was perfect. It's fast, clean, and smart. More members now saw Earth in a new light. Some wanted to partner with them. Some feared them even more. But no one doubted their skill. Kellera sat alone in her chambers that night. She remembered her own words from the first day, how she had mocked Ethan, how he had walked away. Now she began to understand. He had come with strength, but not the kind that shouts. His strength was silent. It moved when needed, and it left no space for doubt. She whispered to herself, "I spoke too soon." In his room, Ethan looked at the stars. He knew this was only the beginning. Earth had been silent too long, but now the galaxy was listening. The stars above Kellera's homeworld looked calm, but the situation was not. The sky was filled with warning signals. Enemy ships had entered the outer zone. They were Drevians, a warlike species known for destruction. They did not talk. They attacked. Kellera stood in the command center of her capital city. Her officers moved fast, trying to power up the shields and contact other council worlds, but no one answered. Messages were sent. Hours passed. No help came. The Dravions destroyed 2 border stations and moved closer. Kellera felt the weight of her people's fear. Her eyes were hard, but inside she felt worry. They were not ready for this attack. Their defenses were strong, but not enough. They had never faced a Drevian fleet. She remembered Ethan. She had not spoken to him since the last mission. She had watched Earth help others, and still she had not reached out. Now her world needed help. She sent a message. It was short, a request for aid. She did not expect a reply, but only minutes later, an answer came. It was a video feed. Ethan stood in front of a map, calm as always. "We are coming," he said. Kellera stared at the screen. She had not begged. She had not offered anything, and yet he had answered. Within hours, a human fleet entered her system. It was not large, maybe 10 ships, but they moved like shadows, silent, fast, and sharp. Ethan arrived at the main command center. Kellera met him there.
Why did you come? She asked.
Because no one else would, he said. She looked at him for a long moment, then she nodded. The battle started just after nightfall. The Dravians sent heavy bombers first, but the human ships did not wait. They moved in tight lines, using their cloaking to get close. Lasers cut through the enemy ranks. Missiles flew with perfect aim. Human pilots worked with AI systems to control space like a game of chess. On the ground, human drones protected cities. They used smart barriers to block incoming fire. Civilian areas stayed safe. Kellera watched the battle from her screen. She had never seen war done this way. It was not wild. It was not loud. It was exact, like a quiet storm. The Dravions tried to retreat, but the human ships followed. They did not destroy everything. They only disabled weapons, stopped engines, and let escape pods go. By morning, the sky was clear. Not one human ship was lost. Kalira walked with Ethan through the main plaza. Her people clapped as he passed. He did not smile. He only nodded. She turned to him. "You saved us. You did what had to be done," he said. "Even after how I treated you," he looked at her. "This was not about you. It was about them." He pointed at the people. Children, workers, elders, all safe. She said nothing. There were no words for what she felt. Later that day, the council held an emergency session. This time the hall was full. Everyone had seen what happened. The report of the battle had spread. The images were clear. Humans had acted when no one else did. Ethan stood quietly in the back. He did not ask to speak, but the others did. Leaders from different worlds stood and praised Earth. They called for full membership. Some even asked to study with human scientists. Kalira stepped forward. She told them what she saw. She spoke of the battle, the calm strength, the careful actions. She ended with a simple line. "I judged too fast. I spoke too soon, but I have seen now, and I will not forget." Ethan nodded once. He did not smile, but something in his eyes showed peace. That night, Kalira sent a message to Earth. It said, "Thank you." The reply came quickly. "No need for thanks. Just remember." And so the galaxy did. The human who had once walked away now stood at the center. Not with noise, not with pride, but with quiet power the stars could not ignore. 1 year had passed since the battle on Kalira's world. The Galactic Council had changed. Earth was now a full member, and its voice carried weight. No one laughed at human diplomats anymore. Instead, they listened. Ethan still spoke little. He attended council sessions, shared reports, and answered questions with short replies. But his silence now had meaning. When he stood, others grew quiet. When he nodded, others took notice. Kalira watched these changes from her seat. She remembered her words from a year ago. She remembered the moment Ethan walked out saying nothing. That silence had started a shift in the galaxy. Now, Earth's presence was strong. Their ships protected trade routes. Their engineers helped rebuild planets damaged by war. Their AI helped the Council track threats before they could grow. Many species had begun to learn from humans. They studied their quiet ways. They tried to understand how Earth had moved from being mocked to being respected without firing a single weapon in anger. Ethan walked through the council halls with calm steps. He met leaders from distant systems. Some asked for alliances. Others wanted to share knowledge. He treated them all with the same quiet respect. Kalira asked for a meeting. Ethan agreed. They sat in a quiet room above the main chamber. The stars outside the window looked peaceful. "You changed everything," Kalira said. Ethan looked at her. "I didn't. We did. Earth was never weak. We just waited for the right moment." She nodded. "And when that moment came, you moved without noise." "Loud actions can be forgotten," he said, "but quiet ones stay." Lyra smiled for the first time in a long while. "You came here with no weapons, just words and silence. And now the whole galaxy watches you." Ethan stood. "They do not watch me. They watch what we do. That is enough." He walked to the door, but before leaving, he turned. "Thank you for insulting me that day." She raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because silence only matters when someone tries to break it," he said. Then he left. Kalira sat alone for a while.
Oh.
She looked out at the stars and thought about how pride had once blinded her. She had thought power came from loud words, strong ships, and public shows. But now, she knew different. Later that day, a young diplomat from another world asked her for advice. He wanted to know how Earth had risen so fast. She answered with one line. They never needed to shout. Ethan returned to Earth months later. He was greeted with calm celebrations. He did not enjoy fame. He preferred quiet mornings and long walks near the sea. Laura met him at a small base near the coast. They talked about council news, new missions, and future goals. "Do you think the galaxy is ready for peace?" she asked. "Not yet," Ethan said. "But they know it's possible now." "That's a start." He looked at the sky. A few stars blinked brighter than others. They reminded him of the council chamber, of all the faces that once looked down on him and now looked up. Back in council space, changes continued. More species adopted Earth's methods, more planets built quiet strength. Not in shows of force, but in knowledge, care, and sharp focus. Ethan became a symbol, not of war, but of patience. A reminder that true power did not always speak first. Sometimes walking away was the strongest answer. The story of the man who was insulted and stayed silent spread through space. It became a lesson taught in schools, told in songs, and shared between leaders. Not for glory, but for understanding. And so the legacy of that moment lived on, not as a battle won or a speech given, but as a silence that shook stars. Ethan never claimed victory. He never asked for praise. He only reminded those around him of one truth. When the time is right, a whisper can be louder than a roar.